Hi everyone. My gosh, so many texts, so many questions, so many inquiries from that earlier vlog that we had where Master talked about the 5 levels of health. And people were asking me, how can you heal your past? How can you heal the future when it hasn't even happened? How do you heal the organs? What's an aura? And how do you heal those auras, etc., etc., etc. So I called Master, can you come back again and explain in depth what healing is about and how all of these things happen? So here once again is Master Dilpet to explain to you guys in depth and in layman's terms so you can understand what healing really is.
Well, we talked earlier about the 5 levels of health: physical, vitality, emotional, mental, and spiritual. In general, all of these manifestations of health are in your human energy field called the human aura. And this human aura has many levels: the vitality level, the emotional level, and the mental level, and the spiritual level. So when an advanced healer and a trained certified specialist look at your aura and scan your energy, they can see patterns of diseases, either congestion or excess of energy, or depletion of lack of energy. In some cases, it's blocked and stuck energy that is not allowing to flow and metabolize the human energy field. So when we look at somebody, we would scan the energy field and the certain chakra system or the energy field that is lined from the top of the head down to your front and to the back. And even your hands and fingertips have the smaller ones called chakras or energy centers. So healing happens when we clean the energy that are toxic in your human aura and then replenish it with fresh energy. Now, it is done by the healer's hand, and you can use the hand to energize a person, or you can use the hands to extract the toxins from the person's human aura. And a trained healer can produce very fast results as long as they follow one formula. The speed of recovery should be faster than the speed of decay or degeneration. And this is what is violated in most healers and specialists and therapists. If you have a very heavy, difficult case, a severe case and dreaded disease, and you're healing only once a month or once a week, and the healer is not to the level where they can accelerate the healing rate, then the healing does not happen. That's why some healings do not work, because the speed of recovery is less than the speed of decay. In our system, we have computed and calculated number of frequencies of healings per person per disease that is appropriate for the level of severity or the age of the person or even the criticalness of the disease itself. So say COVID and intensive care, then we need to heal 3 times a day sometimes. Or if it is a asymptomatic COVID, no symptoms, then you can do once a day, it's okay. But if it is already more critical, twice a day. So there's a need to design a frequency when you need to heal the person. Now, when you extract the toxins from the aura of the person, you need to dispose it out. Otherwise, you can get contaminated if you touch the toxic energy, or if it were caused by a psychospiritual cause, like a possession, spirit possession, or negative entities, or natural spirits that are negative, then that is another level called psychoenergetics. So there are many levels of healing, and there are many ways to heal, but it is about the human aura, and it's about the person healing would be able to extract toxins, congestions, or replenish it with more energy, which is specific to the organs and the glands.
So Master, are you saying anything and everything can be healed?
I would say you can alleviate some of the diseases that are severe, but sometimes you cannot totally eradicate the disease. That is more a cure as a label to medicine. Most people think that if you eliminate the symptoms, you are able to cure the disease, like in normal medicine. I think eliminating the signs of the disease is one level, but eradicating the cause of the disease is another level. In healing, we do eradicate the causes and the symptoms as well, if possible, of the disease. So it's a little bit more intricate and a deeper method that will require more intensive and more, I would say, more sequenced way of doing it. So most people just medicate the symptoms. but the disease still exists, except you don't feel as much pain. In healing, you need to go to the cause, and sometimes it is from the past or present. So there are many ways to look at the disease itself. So a person needs to be certified and highly trained to be able to look, not only as a doctor would look the physical organs. You have to see the energy anatomy, the human aura, and the different centers of energy and the body that they control. And you have to look through the mind and through the emotions and through the karma of that individual. So it's really deeper and more profound. That's why you have more doctors than healers. And there are many healers, but not really, really good healers, because they do not follow this regimen of very specific, very targeted way of healing.
So, Master, what's the balance between Western medicine and the healing?
I think for now, the Western medicine takes care of the body, because that is where they master. But they are still not totally, I would say, high curing at the mind level. For example, for people with depression, they would do more hormonal therapy and also physical drug therapy and so on. But if the depression is not medical, it's not really chemical, and it's from deep loneliness or a psychospiritual syndrome called the dark night of the soul that I have mentioned in your last episode, that the yearning of something that is not just a physical is the cause of the loneliness, or the yearning of your soul to anchor its purpose is the one that triggers you to be depressed. It's not really a depression, it's an apathy. So you need another specific technique for that, which is a psychospiritual condition.
Okay, so speaking of techniques, Master, there are so many kinds of healings, right? So many. What's the difference between the other healings and this system?
Most healers do heal the first layer of the aura, called the prana, the chi, the ki, or the human aura on the first level, vitality aura. Most diseases are not always there. Sometimes the incoming diseases are lodged in the emotional aura. Some people are sick on and off because you might cure the physical symptoms, but the triggers are from the emotional aura. And most healers do not heal the emotional aura and the mental aura because they do not know it exists. They think it's all in the physical aura. So when I look at people, they might be a good healer on diseases that are very physically triggered and that are energetically damaged. But if the disease is more mental and more emotional, such as, say, bipolarity, autism, say, Down syndrome, schizophrenia, and psychospiritual possessions, you cannot just heal them by healing the body or massaging or just doing acupuncture or just medicating or hormonal therapy. Those are more the outward expression of the disease. But some of the diseases are very mental and very emotional and very psycho-spiritual and karma diseases that no matter how much medication you would give, it does not solve the bigger trigger, which is either spiritual, energetically, emotional, or karma in nature. So there are so-called non-medical responders. People who do not respond to medication and psychiatry and psychology because these are more advanced psychospiritual conditions, which are not even printed in the DSMB manual of the psychiatrists and psychologists. It's not within their purview and their, I would say, labels. So these are the things that come to us. That's why I put up our institute called the World Institute for Incurable Diseases, because we are healing incurable diseases we are the final destination. The doctors did not solve it, the psychiatrists cannot solve them. They come to us for their last resort. That's why we have sometimes difficult cases. So as long as the healer is more advanced, they can heal most diseases, or they can alleviate the symptoms and heal the triggers. Or if it is karma, cause of the disease, then we need to work on the karma, not only on the physical, but on the character of the person. Or the karma of the past, of the lineage, if there were a curse. If the lineage is cursed, and the curse is strong, it can proliferate until the next generation. And some cases are caused by bad spells or curse or black magic or sorcery or witchcraft. And these are more special cases because you need a more advanced healer to be able to depossess those bad spells and curses.
So, Master, you've mentioned the word karma several times, but I'm not sure everybody out there understands it. So when you say karma, what exactly do you mean, especially when you said like the karma of disease, which you already said comes from our lineage, but what exactly is karma, and can it be solved? Can it be solved with healing?
Okay. There's a phrase in the Bible, what you sow, you reap. You cannot mock God. What a man sows, he reaps. Okay? In the Quran, it is also the karma like that. And so with Confucius, the golden rule, and so with different religions, in Hinduism, Buddhism, they believe in karma. So with Christianity, it's just a name that we borrowed from the Sanskrit word, but it is whatever you plant, you will harvest. Now, there's a physical part of it that what you plant inside your mouth, like bad food, you will have bad health. Good food, you plant good food, then you have good health. Now, what you plant in your thoughts every day about your life, about others, is also sowing in your life the thought patterns. And so you harvest whatever you throw out. What goes around comes around. If you emote positive feelings every day, then you will have to harvest some positive emotional life. But if people are cursing, they're always aggressive and condescending and talking bad about people, gossiping about people, the emotional and mental auras are filled with dark substances, because before you can say bad things about people, you have to create it first in your mind in thoughts, and you throw it out. Yeah. So when you create those things, it comes to you, created by you, and you throw it out through your mouth or your thoughts or your attack. So when we do that, it's like a factory of negative thinking and emoting. That is sowing, and so we shall reap the consequences. Now, some people are hurting people in different ways. So they might not get sick immediately, but in the long term, they will also be in pain, because when you inflict pain on others, there shall also be pain that will come later on, will catch up. So this is called the boomerang effects. There's a positive aspect and a negative aspect. So when you say karma from diseases of a wrong food, then whatever you ate before, you will harvest as your health now. So we are not really what we eat. We are what we ate. So if you want to prepare your health in the future, you should be eating well now and good food now, so your future health will be harvesting good health. So we can plan for the future. We can heal the future by behaving now a certain pattern that brings good health. And so the past already happened, so we are harvesting sometimes what we planted in the past, our thought patterns, our emotional patterns, our food, and even our physical habits.
So is that what you mean when you say heal the future and heal the past? Because there were so many questions. How do you heal the past? How can you heal the future?
Yeah, there's a technique that we go back in time even during your conception and also during your mother's pregnancy and your delivery. We can go back in time because there's no barricade of time. You can go back and future. That's called the fourth-dimensional concept. You can travel back in time and future in time by your imaginations or by your intentions. So like I've been healing my past with my parents and also my grandparents' lineage, and even the lineage of the Filipino, and even as far as your past lives. Now, people who do not believe in past lives is fine. They don't have to believe the past life to be healed. They don't even have faith to be healed. This is the science that I have designed. But if the person has faith and receptivity, the healing is faster. But if the person is sleeping, we can steal the person without faith upon the healer. Or if a child don't have the concept of faith yet, you can heal the child without faith from the child. Or we can heal also dogs without faith from the dog. It's a science. It's called Be Well science.
Okay, so Master, since we're talking about healing and there are so many diseases, so many questions, can we focus on one, which is cancer? Because I think that has overtaken all the other diseases, the number one killer now in the world.
Yes.
So can you tell us what cancer really is and how does it get healed?
Medically, it is more of the uncontrolled growth of some cells that happen in the breast, in the thyroid, in the ovary, and the uterus, wherever it is. In some cases, the cancer for women are not the same from men. And certain hereditary cancer from ancestral lines also happen genetically. So I will not discuss the medical side, but I will discuss what I've done with the cancer patients. If you look at cancer, it's a lot of congestion, either in the sexual region for the ovary and uterus, or the breast for women, or the armpit for their lymphatic system, or in the brain. As in the brain, all the parts on the head area can be inflamed and also congested with a lot of red and some yellow energy. If you look at the aura of a person with cancer, there's predominantly brown, gray, and yellowish red. When there is a tumor that is still benign, I do not see yellowish color yet as much as brown and red in the area. But once there's more yellow, there's already more malignancy. And when I see the chakras or aura of the person, and you have a tumor, I would be able to look that your potential malignancy is higher than a benign state. Meaning to say, there's a certain energy conditions that cancer becomes cancer from a tumor level. And there's a time that the tumor does not become malignant because of a charcoal condition or an energy condition, which usually are explained to our certification programs. Now, we need to intensify the immune system for sure. If the immune system is strong, cancer should not be tricking the body. Second, the metabolic speed, person throwing out the toxins faster than accumulation, should be also increased. Third is the blood and also the digestive system, and of course your gut's health, which is part of your immune system. Your bone marrows, the white blood cells, the spleen, to filter dead cells and to serve as a co-partner with the immune system. The thymus gland, which is supposed to bring the killer cells to kill the disease or the cancer cells. The process of healing includes a lot physical exercise and movements, which are accompanied by deep breath work, which increase oxygen level and improving the alkalinity of the body and the blood. So we do a lot of that practice of inhalation, exhalation, with the exercise to release the stress, the tension, and congestion. Cancer people are very congested. And if the congestion is not released, the cancer growth is faster. So our aim is to decongest the energy of the person, to increase the metabolic processes, to also empower the immune system to fight back. Third is to release a lot of the traumas and triggers of the person's emotional remorse or distress. Because if you're healing a cancer and they're still continuing to be angry and distressful, the immune system still gets affected by the excess of cortisol, which hampers the immune system to work. When people are stressed and distressed, there's a trigger of cortisol level from the adrenals, which hampers the immune system's work. So we need to eradicate the stress, the stressors, the cause of anxiety and worry. And when people are diagnosed also with cancer, they become traumatized internally. So we need to heal also the traumatic experience of being diagnosed. That's one. The stress causes or the source of triggers of anger or fear or anything. Emotional triggers, mental triggers. So we need to heal the emotional aura, the men's aura, the vitality aura, and physical exercise for the body. And of course, nutrition has a big play in some cases. So if it is not a karma cancer or karmic cancer or diseases caused by karma like cancer, I think we need to include a lot the overall health checklist. For example, do you exercise? What do you eat? Do you have deep breathing or you're a shallow breather? Do you sleep well? You know, the normal checklist of a doctor or a psychologist. So sleeping deep is important. So we teach a person how to do deep breathing to be able to sleep deep in the fourth stage of sleep, which will go for a deep slumber. In that level of sleep, the person can recover faster. When the person can sleep deep and longer, there's a certain recovery rate that increases in the person's healing. Because the formula again is the speed of recovery should be faster than the speed of decay. When the cancer is aggressive like pancreas cancer, the speed of cancer multiplication is so fast and aggressive that if you heal the person only once a day or once a week, I don't think the healing can work because you need a repetition to speed up the speed of recovery versus the speed of degeneration. That's one formula that people should consider in the healing sciences and the healing specialization. Another thing is, if it were karmic, then we need character modification. We need to bless and heal the past of the person. And if there's a bad spell that caused the karma, because a lot of the cancer are caused by black magic, bad spells, like it's a bad luck expression.
From the lineage.
From the lineage or from the person's life being, if the person is cruel, the person that hurt people, they cursed them, and it came to be a curse manifesting when the person is weaker. So it did not manifest earlier, but maybe when the person's energy and vitality is weaker, the immune system is lower, then that's the time it manifests, the curse manifests at that time. So not all things can be cured easily like cancer, because it does have other factors which is not just physical.
Because there's a sudden boom in cancer, Master. What can you explain? What are your thoughts on this? And what about the good people? I know a lot of good people who got cancer. Of course, you said it's in the lineage, right? But the sudden boom of
genetic,
cancer.
yeah.
Yes.
Well, during the time of pandemic, people were strained and stressed with so many factors like vaccine and whether they believe in vaccination or not. They're not able to get out. Old people are not allowed to go out and exercise anymore in the park. So this had slowed down some of our metabolic processes, and the immune system has been slowed down when you don't exercise, when you do not eat well, because the time, maybe even the vegetable dealers are quarantined, so nobody is delivering enough vegetables. So their nutrition was affected in a sense. Their stress is high. Again, the cortisol is active during stressful life situations, and long exposure to stress can bring you to a burnout stage, which is dangerous to health, and to total breakdown, which is even more dangerous. There are 4 stages of stress levels, and the third is the burnout, and the fourth is total breakdown. So most people were pushed to the burnout stage, and some are into the total breakdown stage, which can cause you to die. Now, when your immune system is weaker, cancer can take over. So I think partly pandemic, and some blame the booster shots. So I'm not a scientist proving that, so I can just say that a lot of people today had whistleblowers discussing the effect of some booster shots affecting the weakening of the response to cancer. Some genetic markers that weaken the immune system against cancer. So these are all controversial right now, but there are many Senate hearings now that are happening in the United States that's now spelling out why people today are dying suddenly, why are people start having more cancer than usual. Not only for the stress reasons, but I think there must be something happening in their immune system response to cancer by some vaccination issues. So since that's controversial, I do not claim any, I would say, specialization on that.
Mm-hmm. So thank you very much for all those cancer patients out there, because I have friends who have cancer and all. So there is hope, don't plunge into the despair, because I think social media tags you that once you have cancer, it's a death sentence. But really, it's not.
It depends on the cancer. If it is Kaposi sarcoma with HIV, then that's more deadly. If it is pancreatic cancer with diabetes, that's more deadly. If you are still healthy and you have cancer, and it's just on the stage 1, 2, then it's not that difficult. But if the person comes to me when they're dying and the sentence by the doctors, prognosis say you go home and die, and they come to me with pancreatic cancer, I have more difficult time. But I have saved some lives that are pancreatic cancer that were sent home by the doctors to die in their homes. I was able to do at least 2 of them. This last year.
Yeah, so for the people out there, never lose hope. There are alternatives. And speaking of alternatives, Master, because there's a lot of healing sciences already versus medicine, Western medicine. So what do you see as the future of our healthcare?
I think I've been always an advocate of reinventing healthcare to augment the normal allopathic medicine, Western medicine, with the other healing sciences and life sciences, and adding self-care methods that will bring back responsibility to the patient. Why should the doctor be responsible for every day and 365 days a year for the patient's lives and health. That is a wrong paradigm. We have to shift paradigm that we need to be healing ourselves when we are healthy. Healing the healthy that would lead to longevity is the key. It's not just working for well-being and wellness, which is present. We need to be working for longevity, eating for a long life, exercising for a long life, emotion, mental state for a long life, and spiritual development for a long life. So we should not be just preparing that feeling good factor, easy way out by just taking tablets and vitamins and going to the gym. Those are temporary, because as we grow older, like a car, you have a new car, you can jump it to the humps and it won't damage. When the car is older, you have to be slower in the humps, you have to be braking slower and park with secured handbrake. But when people are young, they can abuse their health and they're still fine. But as you grow older, the more you have to take care of your health, and you have to invest in your self-care. Yourself taking care of yourself, not the doctor taking care of your health. And this is one paradigm that I've been always thinking, that you need to be responsible for your health. That's why it's called self-care. You need to heal yourself. You need to exercise. You need to do breathing and meditation. You need to do visualization for your health. And you need to eat well, drink clean water, and so on. And you need to be more spiritual, because when you are more spiritual, your soul helps you to live longer and get inspired to do the right thing. When we have no guidance from the soul or a higher being, we make a lot of mistakes. When we make a lot of mistakes, we get so stressed repairing them. It takes sometimes a lifetime to repair our mistakes. And that is where stress are coming from. Subconsciously also, we do get stress and distress when we have many problems that we are solving. When you have good karma, when you're aligned with the soul, when you do the right thing, there's less and less mistakes that leads you to have more freedom to live your life without having to be always troubleshooting, fixing things, helping solve things that we have committed earlier. That alone is a big toll in our health. And I can tell you, if you are in love but still a lot of debts, you cannot be in love totally. You're always thinking of your bills. If you have a lot of money but you don't have love life and you don't have harmony in your life, you are not also complete in the essence of awakening your heart. So you need the spiritual component of health, the mental component, the emotional component, the vitality component, and the physical component to be whole. And that's probably one of my suggestions if we have to reinvent healthcare. So when I look at the reinventing of healthcare, it has to factor this paradigm shift, which is wholeness. Unless a person is made whole, health has still gaps, either mental gap, spiritual gap, physical or energetic gaps. So when a doctor should prescribe eventually in the future, they do not just prescribe pharmacological solutions. They should describe how many times can you do breathing for what kind of glands. There's a specific breathing for different glands. How much time do you need to expose yourself in the sunshine in the morning? What part of your body do you need to expose for certain diseases? When you do water therapy, what kind of water and how much total dissolved solids are allowable for that kind of disease? And mental health, what books do you study for you to improve your thinking? Do not just say, think positive. Yeah. But a person is not equipped to think positive. So how do you make a person think positive? So that self-care homework should be given to the patient as another prescription or another recommendation to the patient or to the client. And how many people can you recommend certain traditional herbs for you to recover certain gastrointestinal conditions? So there are many things that we can add into the normal medicine today, because today is more pharmacological medicine. And I think it's not a complete to just medicate the body but not heal the mind or heal the emotions or awaken the power of the soul to complete the process.
Yeah, so many tips from Master, but even with these tips, guys, there's one thing that we really need in self-care. That's willpower, right, Master?
Yes. The problem is you can recommend to many people everything. Nobody does it all because the lack of willpower. The lack of willpower is probably one of the culprit in many ways, because even taking your medication, if you don't have the will to take it, you'll forget it. Or the will to finish what you start, if there's a regimen that the psychologist or the healer would give you and you won't do it, it will not work, because there's a formula for the healing, there's a formula for fitness. So if you only do 50% of that formula, you only get 50% of the results. So again, the will to do and the will to be happy, the will to succeed, the will to do good, these are all important components of wellness. And that has to be part of the ingredients for total wellness and wholeness. And the medical profession today do not touch those subjects, neither psychologists, neither psychiatry. It's all about the Western side. The Oriental side, the martial arts, and the healing side, the yoga, the meditation side, has to be incorporated. But it has to be designed so that it does not get a one yoga fits all kind of disease. There's a certain yoga and meditation that's not good for high blood pressure. There's a certain breathing that's not good for children. There's a certain meditation not good for heart disease. They have to study the hidden dangers of meditation and yoga so that they would not prescribe something that will maybe hurt the person. Meditation and yoga is very generic. There are things that should not be used by specific people with diseases. In fact, that's why I wrote my book, The Hidden Dangers of Meditation and Yoga, because I observed millions of people meditating and doing yoga can hurt themselves or their children by not knowing these hidden dangers. There are at least 30 of them.
Okay, so thank you very much, Master. And I hope that has answered some of your questions or most of your questions. Master talked on some topics which in the future we'll go back. I'm going to ask Master again. Master, can you give us a more in-depth discussion on willpower? And also, can you give us a more in-depth discussion of meditation and its harm, right? And the 8 types of yoga, etc. But for now, I think that's a lot. Guys, so you heard Master, self-care is really, really very important. So let's start with that from now on. Let's say self-care, each of us, so that we can achieve our greatest life. Thank you, everyone, and see you next time.